Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared, and it is time once again for the monthly update. We are in the dregs of winter here, and it's cold, and you know what more are you gonna do but read when it's just cold out? So I've been doing a lot of reading for January. Did a lot of reading, got a lot of reading going on as always. So what did I finish in the month of January? Let me show you. I finished, let's see, about 5 books or so. I finished Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler. This book was outstanding. We read this in our podcasts for Speculative Speculations, and Butler really knocked it out of the park with this. Lots of pondering on the future by Butler. And it's a future that starts in 2032, so right around the corner. And she presents us with some scary future alternatives that we don't want to see, but are, like I said, scarily possible. Not probable, but possible. So, anyways, Parable of Talents, Octavia Butler. That was one of my reads for January that I finished off. I also finished off my self-pub read of the month was Weird Gods by Susanna Imaginario. And I had a good time with this. This is book one in the Timelessness series that she puts out on her own. And it's a good self-pub read. It has to deal with various mythologies kind of clashing together. And she gives a really unique and interesting take on Greek gods, Norse gods, other gods, and their machinations and their you know you know what gods do. They fight with each other and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It was an interesting continuation of mythology in a new and modern type of way. So that was fun. All right, I also finished The Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut. This is part of the Sci-Fi Masterworks read along. This book was written back in 1959. And yeah, so this was one of Vonnegut's first early novels, and you can tell it's not as polished as or not as deep, I think, as his famous novel Slaughterhouse-Five, which was really great. This one was good. I liked it, but it was a little bit more. It had comedy. It was a little bit more flippant. It was a lot of tongue in cheek sci-fi. Didn't take itself too seriously, but still had some deep statements about social stuff going on in here. So check out our upcoming talk about the Sirens of Titan if you've read it before. We Our spoiler talk discussion, and that'll be coming out later on this week, I believe. So um, I finished that. I also finished this big graphic novel, Sapiens: A Graphic History, The Masters of History, and once again, this is a graphic novel adaptation of Harari's book Sapiens. This is the third one that he's put out, which continues the adaptation of the history book Sapiens. So if you're at all a fan of Harari and his book Sapiens, go ahead and pick these up because he really gives it a different angle. He attacks the subject from a different angle, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a really good time, and you get something new out of it. I guarantee you, than you would just reading the book, and so that's really cool. All right, I also finished off my friend Livia Elliott, novelist and booktuber on Books Undone. She gave me um, a advanced reader arc of her novella Dance with Me, and so I got a arc of that. I read that, so stay tuned for more information about that coming soon. Needless to say, I enjoyed it quite a bit. All right, and I also finished off this doozy here, Stormed Fortress by Janie Wirtz. This is the eighth book in the Wars of Light and Shadow, the Volume 5 in the Alliance of Light story arc, the biggest story arc in the Wars of Light and Shadow. And this was fantastic. Storm Fortress is probably it's one of my favorites so far out of all eight. I if not if not number one, probably definitely at least number three. I don't know. It's hard to rank these things, anyways, but um, it's up there. And man, did I enjoy that! I really, really, a lot of great, cool stuff in here. And look, there's a dragon. There's a reason that covers like that. In there, right? So that's enough info there. So we're of course we're doing discussions on the Wars of Light and Shadow with my friends at my fellow compatriots at pagechewing.com. And so please check out those if you've read the books. We do full spoiler stuff on those discussions. Yeah. And so, that's all the stuff I finished in January. So what am I working on? What kind of short stories am I doing? What kind of projects I got going here? I am now back into Assassin's Apprentice with the comic books that are coming out from Dark Horse Comics, Assassin's Apprentice 3. So I am back into doing the side by side comparisons, and that was issue number 2, and so I'm waiting issue number 3 to continue on with that. So that project is ongoing. I have also started a short story discussion on my channel called Short Fiction Side Hustle with my friend Vasha. And we are currently coming upon number 5, where we will be reading the next story out of Stephen Donaldson's Reeve, The Just and Other Tales. This next story is going to be called The Djinn Who Watches Over the Accursed. And what a great title. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be reading that pretty soon. But I did finish the first tale, Read Adjust, in January as well. I'm also working on Swords and Dark Magic. I'm reading short stories out of this collection. The last one I read was by Tanith Lee. It's called Two Lions, a Witch, and the War Robe. So see a little play on words there. It was a pretty cool tale. I liked it. It really it made fun of it made fun of like witches and um, adventurers who seek out a magic item, and most how they go about it. And it has these two bumbling warriors who just they kind of stumble their way through it, and they come out on top in the end. So that was really enjoyable. I actually really liked this story. It was a lot of fun to read. So I'd be interested in checking out more Tanith Lee in the future. I think her writing was very enjoyable, and I liked how she just threw a few things in there that kind of made it different than your typical quest type of story. Um, I also finished another story, of course, out of Tales Before Tolkien, the roots of modern fantasy here, the things that inspired Tolkien, possibly. Um, the story I read this month was Gubu and Sheemish by Lord Desani. He of the, I think, King of Elfland's Daughter or something like that, famous fame. Anyways, Lord Desani was called a master of the fantasy short story, and this one was really interesting. It was about Gubu and Sheemish. They are or Chubu, not Gubu. They are two gods who are worshipped in this like village, and they're small gods. They're worshipped strictly by this village, and the they are one was the one who the Chubu was the one who was there before, and then the new god who they worship is Sheemish, and they're kind of competing with each other, and they're trying to both make miracles, and it's not quite working out because they kind of only have so much godly miracle power to call upon. And I love this line in here: "To be a god and to fail to achieve a miracle is a despairing sensation." Oh, woe it is to be a god, right? Um, and it was just a cute little story. It's only a few pages, and I really liked it. So I'm hoping to read some more Lord Dudsany maybe in the future. My tale from Chinese myths and folk tales this month was a story about Wang, who he comes home and he uh, he notices a woman in the street who's in trouble. So he takes her with him to feed her. She's starving. She's living in the streets. She says she got kicked out by her father or husband or somebody. I don't know. Somebody beat her, and so he takes her home, feeds her, and then she leaves after he does, and then a priest comes over and says, "You fool, that was death," and then he dies. So really weird. And then, but then his wife goes and seeks out the woman he brought home to save her with from hunger, and she finds a heart in the alley and brings back the heart and puts it back together, and it beats, and then her husband's alive again. So really, really weird tales that are coming out of this collection here. It was called The Painted Skin. Uh, so wacky and wild stuff coming out of there. What else do I got ongoing here? I'm also reading Tales in the Big Book of Science Fiction with my Speculative Speculation podcast friends, and I'm having a blast with those tales. We're up to 1959, 1960, somewhere around there, and it's all in chronological order in that book. So we're going up in the years as we go along, and those are really great stories. If you ever get your hands on that book. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right, so that's everything I read in January. Uh, what am I currently reading now? I am reading The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez. I was really excited to get into this because last year, his other book, oh jeez, why am I drawing a blank? His other great book, my book of the year, The Spear That Cuts Through Water. The Spear Cuts Through Water, not that. The Spear Cuts Through Water was my book of the year, and I really loved it. So I was really eager to get into The Vanished Birds. I'm about 70% of the way through right now, and I am enjoying it a lot. This is a science fiction tale, but there's a lot of nods to older sci-fi books that I happen to be reading in the Sci-Fi Masterworks read along. So it really connects in that manner, and I'm really enjoying it. And Jimenez is really a great new author who deserves a lot of the praise he gets here on BookTube. Um, okay, I am also reading right now in Speculative Speculations. We are making our way through Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, and so keep an eye out on that podcast for our discussions on Cloud Atlas. It's interesting. I'm about 90 pages in right now, and I'm enjoying the format, the letter format originally, but then I think in the third section here it kind of gets into third person, but that's fine with me. I love switching around stuff like that. I love switching around viewpoints. I love switching around first person, third person, whatever. And this third story's in here is cool, and I'm liking it so far. And I love just a slight hint of connection between all of the stories so far. Like I said, I just started getting into that. I'm also reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Making my slow way through this. I'm only reading like a page a day of work, not a page, a chapter, a page. That would take me a year and a half to read that. A chapter a day or so in in this book, and about 90 pages in here on this nice little trade paperback. I like the feel of these, um, and I'm enjoying it. I like the style. It definitely has that 19th century style, and I enjoy that type of writing. I really do. Um, and so far the story is pretty basic. It's an orphan. A girl grows up in an orphanage, and you just basically seeing how she progresses through her life and some of the bad stuff she's had to go through, but some of the good stuff too. So it's an enjoyable read. I like her, like I said, I like her style. Uh, and I'm reading that little by little. I've also started The Great When by Alan Moore. That's right, his new novel. I was very eager to get into this, and also about 90 pages in. So I think that seemed to be a theme here today, about 90 pages in. And this is fantastic so far. I'm really, really enjoying this. I really like what Alan Moore is doing, and it's called a long London novel. So even though it's quite short, actually, but the it's so this is like the first in a series, I believe, and but that's all I know about it, other than what I've read in the first 90 pages, which really um, makes me like it a lot. I like the setting. It's I think it's post-war London, and there's a little hints of magic in there. So doesn't get much better than that with Alan Moore writing, and his prose is something else. Yeah. I think some people think that Moore overuses verbiage, but I don't think so. I think it's all perfectly placed, and I really enjoy reading his stuff. All right, so that's all the stuff that's active. What's coming up on the docket? As soon as I think in another week here or so, as soon as we wrap up our talks on Storm Fortress, I will be starting Initiate's Trial sometime in February, probably later to the end of the month. But this will be Volume 9 in the Wars of Light and Shadow. So um, we'll see how she follows up on that grand ending from Storm Fortress. Don't know how you can do that, but we'll be starting that. We'll also be starting for my self-pub read of February. I can't wait. As soon as I'm done with Vanished Birds, I am going to be getting into what's it called? Uh, A Pack of Wolves by P.L. Stewart. P.L. was so kind to send me a ARC copy of A Pack of Wolves, and this is the fifth book in the Drowning Kingdom saga. I cannot wait to get to this. I really have been enjoying my time in PL's world, PL Stewart's world, the Drowned Kingdom saga, and I think what he's done with this series has been spectacular. It's really unique, I think, and it's really enjoyable. And if you haven't started this series yet, do yourself a favor, get into it. The first book really kicks you. It really gets you with his main character there, who you hate, or no, who you love to hate, and it's fantastic how he does it. And I am really looking forward to starting this advanced copy. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Thank you so much for uh, granting me access to that. That's an honor, and I can't wait to get to it. So, um, and we'll see what else I get to. I think I'm also going to be reading Imperion by or Inferion, something like that, by Jack Vance. We'll see. I should be reading that as well. Right. With all that said, whew. Yeah, guys, let me know what you're reading this month, and be good to each other. Thanks.